All right, hi everyone. I'm Alicia Bone, and today we're going to be talking about prompting 101, prompts and teaching strategies. So, what is a prompt? A prompt is a stimulus that occurs before the behavior or target response occurs. So, we basically have prompts every day in our life. One example that I think of is a traffic light. We're driving and all of a sudden we see a yellow light. So, that's basically serving as a cue of, you need to slow down, you're going to be stopping soon. So the light could be, the initial stimulus, but at the same time, the yellow light changing is, that additional prompt for us for that behavior to occur, um, for us to stop. So, what is a stimulus? This is a cue or instruction given for the learner to know when to initiate in starting the skill or target behavior. Some examples include, being told to do something like write your name on your paper after a teacher passes out the paper. Or even just a cereal and spoon on the table in front of a person, just having, the items in front of you and then knowing how to respond. So teaching the learner how to respond to certain stimuli or cues to start and engage in specific tasks, we may have to assist using prompting. So in the next slides, we're going to be discussing the specific levels of prompting, and also teaching strategies, including most to least, least to most, as well as airless teaching using these prompts. So as I mentioned, these are the specific prompts. So from the bottom, we'll start with full physical, partial physical, modeling, gestural, verbal, visual, to the learner being independent. And then also on the sides, I included, the arrow pointing downwards, and that represents, how we sometimes use the least to most prompting. So visual to like gestural to then full physical. And that's excuse me. So like if you have like a sequence of one behavior to occur, so if the task is brushing teeth, um, going from least to most, you're gonna, start with a verbal prompt like get toothpaste out, and then you're gonna move down to um hand over hand for then putting the toothbrush up, and then circular motions if the learner, needs to work on that specific skill. And then most to least prompting, that's, the opposite for sequencing. You're going to go from hand over hand, to get the toothpaste out, to now modeling next to the learner, doing the motions on the teeth, and then going to verbal. So like rinse your toothbrush. So being told to do that. So full physical prompt. This example is teaching the learner how to use a spoon when eating cereal. So I used a full physical prompt, hand over hand, and the specific skill being targeted is picking up the spoon and putting it in the cereal. Okay. The next is partial physical prompt. So we're targeting the same skill of picking up the spoon, except this time I'm going to be guiding his by holding, his elbow to guide him towards the spoon. But this time, no hand over hands being used. The next type of prompt is modeling. So previous research by Schroeder et al. From 2022 focused this research on young adults using video modeling for different life skills. So in this case, I think they did laundry, the laundry task, and that was like putting laundry away, and the results shown to be very effective using the video modeling. In this video, as an example, I am modeling to the learner how to pour the cereal in the bowl, pour the milk in the bowl. Video modeling can I mean, I'm sorry, not video modeling, overall modeling, can be done in person, or it can also be like a video, just like this. The next prompt is gestural. So this can be like pointing to a stimulus, pointing to an item, pointing to a person that's talking, to help guide that person's attention to the person speaking, or to the object to help them initiate in the task. So in this case, I am pointing to the milk for the learner to initiate in the task of picking up milk and pouring it into the cereal. The next prompt is verbal prompt. So I am telling the learner, go get milk, and they go to the fridge and they initiate in that response after the verbal prompt. Go get the milk. Go get the milk. So the next prompt is a visual prompt, and this can be done uh, with task analysis. And this, can be presented with text, like written words, or it can be presented with pictures to help with that visual of each step broken down into the sequence. And then here's the example. So visual prompts are commonly used with self-care skills, including hand washing, toileting, bathing, or even other skills like cooking and cleaning. In this case, the learner is using a written visual for steps to prepare cereal for breakfast. Next, we're going to be moving into different teaching strategies. So the one I mentioned in the beginning, least to most prompting. So in this case, you're starting with the least restrictive level of prompting. So this could be, using the visual, and then the learner might get to a certain step and need a more restrictive prompt, which could be it depends on what the skill is. It depends on the skill level of the learner. So starting from like maybe like pointing to something, and then they don't initiate in that. So then you move to like a partial physical to guide them to the item. And then maybe you might even have to do full physical. So then if they don't respond to the partial, then hand over hand to grab the item. This is most to least prompting. So previous research by Libby et al. From 2009, their results shown that most to least prompting included less errors compared to least to most prompting, and the learners actually picked up skills more quickly. So in this case, it's the opposite. You're going to be starting, from full physical, and then gradually to gestural, pointing to the item, and then visual. So maybe like showing them a picture of what they're supposed to be doing to initiate. Errorless teaching is used for teaching new skills and with discrete trial teaching. So there's steps actually broken down for this. So first, you're going to give the instruction. That could be like the verbal cue. So it could be like clap hands, immediately prompt using appropriate prompt. So you're immediately going to prompt after you say that. So using full physical, you're going to prompt the learner, clap hands, you guide them to clap their hands. You're going to distract with a skill that the learner already knows. So do this. They already know how to touch nose, so they engage in that, and then you're gonna go back to the skill that they're working on. So then you're gonna represent the cue and instruction, clap hands, and then you're gonna wait for them to initiate, and then you're gonna reinforce the correct response. So for aerials teaching, you're specifically using this for new skills. This should not be used for mastered items, although you do want to use mastered skills for that distractor. So all about ABA. In this video, they're going to demonstrate aerialist teaching.
Another important thing to note when you're using error correction is that your distractor files need to be mastered or high probability targets. You don't want to use skills that are not mastered yet or that are really difficult or that take a long time. The point of a transfer trial is to transfer the stimulus control from your prompts to the SD. So you need distractors in there to essentially break up the time from like them being prompted to engaging in the response. So now we're going to show you some clips of a few different types of examples of error correction across different verbal operands. What is it? Fork. What is it? Spoon. Spoon. What is it? Spoon. Spoon. Do this. Do this.
That's a distractor.
What is it?
Representing.
Spoon.
And in that case, she did not get reinforcement. So in the next slide, we're going to be talking about reinforcement and why it's important. So this is an important part for teaching the new skill or behavior with the learner. You want to identify the child's preferred items and activities as potential motivation for learning. And then you want to deliver reinforcement when the child engages in the targeted behavior. Fading reinforcement as the learner engages in behavior is also really important. We don't always want the learner, we don't want them to become expecting of when they're going to receive the reinforcement. So keeping this in mind is really important. Also, prompt fading. Why is this important? So if we're constantly prompting the learner and not fading out those prompts, they may always, be expecting that prompt, and we don't want that. Our goal is to increase independence when teaching these skills. Add a little humor to this. What do you think? I can do it? What do you mean I can do it myself? So yeah, it's really important that, if we're using maybe like we're using hand over hand, we want to fade that out, fade it to the least restrictive prompting, and then hopefully, as they learn, we use less prompting to none. So that's really important. And also with this, sometimes I see, people are quick to respond if the learner does initiate. So I think it's really important to wait 3 to 5 seconds after you give the cue to let them, have that chance to initiate. Sometimes, we're quick to respond and, add that response prompt and it might not even be needed. It just they need that little extra time to start the task. So that's also really important to keep in mind. So I hope you enjoyed this training. These are the references and the previous research used. Thank you.